Hello everyone, back again with Story Recap. Before we get to storyline, I wish all happy and great day. The film begins in a showroom, where Jimmy works as a salesman. He is a handsome young man who loves flirting with beautiful girls. He also has a great talent for selling. He dances and sings to get girls to buy products. It is clear that all the girls admire him, and his style with them. Among them is his boss's wife. She loves him very much, and began making love with him in the storage room. By chance, her husband saw this and punched Jimmy in the nose. Jimmy's nose started to bleed, but he didn't care. He went out and actually started flirting with another girl at the same time. His boss fired him from the store, so Jimmy lost his job and went home. While eating dinner, Jimmy's family was unhappy because they learned that Jimmy lost his job. His brother Josh laughed at him, and Jimmy told them that he would become a pharmaceutical representative and that he would be able to earn more money if he continued doing so for a year. Everyone advised him not to do that because it was useless work, but he decided to do it. Later, he went for an interview at a company called Pfizer. The company celebrates this day by holding a ceremony to launch some new medical pills. Jimmy was selected along with several other people for 6 weeks of training. The company motivates them by telling them that they will save people's lives. Jimmy was enjoying the place and also did not forget to make love with many girls. On the first day of work, he and his new friend Bruce went in their car to sell medicine. Bruce gave Jimmy many tips to sell medicine. When they arrived at the hospital, it started raining. The two took an umbrella and waited outside the hospital. When a doctor came to the hospital, Jimmy started trying to talk to them about medications, but none of them listened to him. Their first day ended in great disappointment. The next day, they went to the hospital to see the doctors. The receptionist asked them to wait, but no one was interested in them. Jimmy suddenly saw a random girl and called her Lisa. The girl started staring at him and walked away. Bruce tells him that her name is not Lisa. Jimmy told him that he knew that, and he told him that if he did that, she would eventually come to him and tell him that that was not her name. This is the opportunity he needs to start a new conversation with her. As I told you, Jimmy has a lot of tricks to attract girls' attention and get them. While they were waiting, they saw a sales representative named Trey, who worked for another company. He arrived at the hospital and easily put his medications in the hospital. Bruce tells Jimmy that Trey is a devil at selling drugs, and he also motivates him to become like him. He told him that if he could take the company's sales to the next level, he would get a promotion at work and a great life in Chicago. Indeed, Jimmy was able to flirt with the receptionist and get the opportunity to drop off drug samples at the hospital. Suddenly, a doctor named Knight came and asked Jimmy to leave the place. Jimmy was able to take Trey's medication samples before leaving. The receptionist falls in love with Jimmy and starts flirting with him. After he left, he threw Trey's medication in the trash. One of the beggars saw this. Since that day, Jimmy has been going to the hospital and giving flowers to the receptionists, putting his medication inside and throwing Trey's medication in the trash. Beggar takes Trey's medicine from the trash and eats it as his daily meal. This matter continued for several days. He began selling his product, but he was unable to achieve the goal he aspired to. While Jimmy and Bruce are at the bar, they see Trey talking to Dr. Knight. Bruce tells Jimmy that Dr. Knight was buying medicine from Trey, which made Trey rich. Jimmy gives $1,000 to Dr. Knight. He tells him that it is a gift from his company and asks him to help him sell their medicines in the hospital. The doctor actually agreed to this and took Jimmy to the hospital, saying that he was undergoing some kind of training. He went to see a patient named Maggie, who has Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a disorder of the central nervous system that affects movement, including tremors. It seems that Maggie has been ill for a long time. While the doctor is prescribing the medicine for her, Jimmy says that the medicine produced by his company has fewer side effects. Maggie asked him who he was. Jimmy introduces himself to her. Maggie welcomes him and then discusses her problems with the doctor. She told him that she had a spot on her breast and showed it to the doctor. The doctor told her it was just a spider bite. Jimmy looked at her. Then Maggie thanked the doctor and left. After that, Jimmy went to his car. In the parking lot, Jimmy arranged the medicine in the car. Maggie saw this and realized that he was not a trainee, so she punched him in the face since he stared at her chest. He apologized to her and told her what really happened. He also asked her for a cup of coffee. Maggie left and showed her middle finger. Then he went to his house. Then he called the receptionist and through some nice words was able to get Maggie's phone number. Then Josh came to him saying that his girlfriend had kicked him out because he was addicted to online pornography. Jimmy comforted him and allowed him to stay at his house. Jimmy called Maggie and asked her for coffee again. Josh started to annoy him by asking who she was. Jimmy apologized for seeing her breasts and also told her she was cute. After some talking, she finally agreed and they both met at the cafe. Jimmy told her she had beautiful eyes. She thanked him. Suddenly, Maggie's hand began to shake due to the illness she was suffering from. She hid her hand under the table. Jimmy noticed this and said that this was happening because she was nervous and that she loved him. She told him that she didn't want love, but she wanted sex to relieve her pain. They both went to Maggie's house, and they both seemed to be enjoying themselves. After finishing, she asked him to leave. He told her it was nice to meet her and left. Since that day, they have continued to have sex frequently. One night, she entered Jimmy's house and became naked without noticing that Josh was there. Josh walked out and left the two to enjoy their night. For the first time, Jimmy started to feel in love with a girl. He loved Maggie with all his heart, but she does not want to get into a relationship because of her illness. He continues to sell his medicines at that hospital. One day, while throwing Trey's medication in the trash, Trey saw it and punched him. Jimmy tried to hit him, but his hands hurt. Trey asked Jimmy to stay away from Maggie. The beggar comes and takes the medicine. Jimmy goes to the hospital to put the medicine on, but the receptionists stop him. Apparently, Trey bribed them. Jimmy is upset by this and goes to see Maggie with some snacks. Maggie realizes that Jimmy loves her, so she tells him it won't work. She told him that she had been in a relationship before, and the relationship did not end well after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Jimmy asked her if her ex-boyfriend was Trey. She said yes, but she doesn't love him now. The next day, Maggie tried to open the snack cap, but her hands shook so badly she couldn't get it off. After that, Jimmy went to work with Bruce and Josh. The company will launch a new drug called Viagra, which is used for prolonged sex. Jimmy was very happy with the new product. At one of the parties, Jimmy met Dr. Knight, and he learned that Maggie's disorder was very serious. He called her and tried to express his love to her, but she hung up the phone. After that, Jimmy went to meet Maggie. Maggie takes some elderly people to Canada to receive treatment. Jimmy arrived and told her that he wanted to talk to her. She told him she would be back late at night and left. At night, Jimmy comes to Maggie's house and waits for her all night. She returned home in the morning and was upset when she found out that Jimmy was waiting for her. Maggie seems to love him, but she regrets it because of her illness. Jimmy and Bruce launched their new drug, Viagra. Indeed, the property has been a great success. Even in the news, they started talking about Viagra. Doctors who refused their medications bought them voluntarily. The company where Jimmy works becomes famous, and Jimmy becomes rich. On the other hand, Jimmy's relationship with Maggie developed. Maggie still regrets her love for him. They spent the whole night together. One night, he told her that he really loved her, and that he had never told anyone about it. Maggie didn't know what to answer. Jimmy came home to find his brother masturbating. Day by day, Maggie's disorder becomes serious. Jimmy realized this and began talking with Dr. Knight to find a way to treat Maggie. Jimmy told her he loved her and wanted to treat her. Maggie screams at him and tells him that he is a bad person. Jimmy takes her to a conference where all the people with Parkinson's disorder come together. There, she meets many people more miserable than her, and they live happy and wonderful lives. She realized that she could also have a happy life. She apologized to Jamie and agreed to receive treatment to reduce the effects. She also told him that she loved him. Since that day, Jimmy started taking Maggie to different hospitals in different countries, and specialist doctors performed various treatments to make her feel better. Days passed, and she continued to receive treatment. Jimmy stopped working and turned his full focus to Maggie. Suddenly, his credit card was declined. His bank balance became very low, and he became very desperate to fix it. He also does not care about his work and promotion. This made Maggie feel guilty. She thought it was all her fault and decided to leave Jimmy so he could get his promotion and a better life. She asked him to leave her house. Days passed, and they both felt miserable and missed each other and cried a lot. Jimmy tries to call her, but she doesn't answer. Josh tried to make Jimmy feel better, but failed. Dr. Knight invites Jimmy to his party. Jimmy refused, but Josh forced him, and they went there. He receives a message saying that he received a promotion to Chicago. Several days later, Jimmy met Maggie in a restaurant. They both don't have the words to speak. They smile at each other, and Maggie tries to leave the place. Bruce comes there and tells Jimmy about his promotion to Chicago. Maggie congratulated him and walked away. Jimmy packs his things in preparation for moving to Chicago. While doing so, he found a video camera that he and Maggie used to record their sweet moments. Then he went to Maggie's house to see her, and he discovered that she was going to Canada by bus. He chased the bus and stopped it. She told him she didn't want to talk to him. He told her that he only wanted to talk to her for 5 minutes. He confessed everything to her, and that he was bad before he met Maggie and proposed his love. She tried to hide her love, but she could not control it and expressed her love as well. They hugged on the highway, and then they both started living together. She wasn't worried about her illness anymore. Jimmy quits his job in Chicago and decides to live with Maggie.